trauma does not have to be some serious thing that happened to you, but if it affects you and it bothers you and whatever, that is trauma. And this was a traumatic thing for me. You know what I'm saying? I've only ever been through a couple things in my life, and this is one of them. And I can kind of one hand how many things I've been through, and we'll probably talk about the other two in other episodes, but this is one of those things.
I'll be down for you forever. We gon' always be together. Down for any kind of weather. We going higher than the ceiling. You and me is all I need, yeah. Keep on rocking to the beat, yeah. And we're on.
And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Well, Saturday for us. It should be a Wednesday for you guys. Hope you guys are having a great day.
Or Thursday. I think this one's coming out Thursday because we're late. We're late. We're late recording this one, guys.
Well, happy rising. I'm not. Come on.
Happy rising. Who are you?
Is that like a day thing, right? It can mean anything. Is that a religious thing? How you guys doing today? I am Omar.
What is he talking about? And I'm Skyla.
Get it together. And again, this is Snooks and Snookums Real Talk Podcast. This is episode
5, halfway through the season.
More than halfway through.
More than halfway through the season.
Yeah, we're doing season 8 episodes this season. So we are. This is episode 5. We got 3 more to go. Yeah.
Oh, it's going by so quickly.
Yeah, it's been a good experience. I was nervous at first as we were, doing these, but as we get more comfortable and everything, I'm like, all right, this works.
It's fun. And then we have our guy Josh. You can't see him, but
behind the camera. Just know somebody's
Josh
doing
behind
this.
The camera.
just know somebody's doing this. It's not just us.
Right. Shout out to Josh.
Right. It's just been a great experience. What have we been doing these past?
Oh my God, we moved and we love our new apartment. We downsized, but we still love the apartment.
Yeah,
hate the moving experience. Horrible.
We'll probably post some clips or something on either our personal pages or on, the podcast page. But it's a great place. We love it. It feels spacious. We can breathe.
Yeah. The food trucks that come, bomb.
Food trucks are good. Glacier.
Has some lobster rolls.
Glacier been sleeping outside on the balcony or whatever during the day. So
yes, it's been good.
It's been good.
Other than that, we've just been podcasting, planning, getting ready for our trip coming up to Cabo.
Yes, sir. Cannot wait.
And that's it.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Working, living.
For now.
Chilling.
Working for now.
Yeah. All right, but we're going to go ahead and get into it today. So
let me just say real quick before we get into it. So quick story. This is our second time recording this topic.
It is.
That should tell you guys that this was a difficult topic for us. And, so caveat, you're going to see this outfit probably in the next 2 episodes, but it's okay. But yeah, we're coming back to re-record it because the first time we felt like our message or our points didn't get across the right way. So redo.
Yeah. I was going to let her say her piece. No, yeah, definitely. Back at it again. So today's episode, we're calling it, It Happened. So now what? Mm-hmm. We got this topic from our friend Shanae. She was talking to us about episode, I think 3 it was at the time, how we, just some things, we were just discussing and talking about. And then she gave us this idea to talk about, in a relationship or friendships, like, how you go about dealing with certain situations. Do you forgive your partner, your friend, when you guys go through something, how you go about it? Do you cut them off? Things like that.
Yeah. Do you drop them?
Whatever. Like, what do you do when you're in these situations? And we thought that was a pretty good topic because I think we both have some situations where we've been through things with people or even in relationships where we say, all right, hey, yeah, we're going to keep doing this, or no, we're not. Some people might have made that decision for us, whatever it is. So we like, this is a good topic to talk about. So we're going to get started with the comments at first.
Yeah, we're switching it up.
Yeah. So again, we hit you guys up to ask us some question on Instagram, and again, you can follow me at OVOXOmar.
At Skyla Simone.
And so we got a few responses. You want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So again, the question is, in your friendships and relationships, do you give grace or do you drop them when, people show you who they are, or if people continue to do things that you don't like or agree with? So I got a lot of give grace, right? So I have give grace. My friend Simone said, give grace, we're human, but don't be messing up 10 out of 15 times. My friend at work, Colleen, I give grace because no one's perfect, which is very true. Grace, but up until a certain point. I think we'll talk about that. Drea, she said, I drop them because people know exactly what they're doing. My twin said, it really depends, but I'll say overall I give grace because I receive grace every day. Aubrey, at the Bride Trainer.
Don't try to start saying people's names.
I haven't been given the ads. I'm sorry, guys.
She hasn't said anybody's name. Jen name. Don't worry about it. I'm about to.
At the Bride Trainer, give grace, but we all make mistakes, but with boundaries. That part. This person said, quick. We drop them quick.
Niggas be honest.
Quick, yeah. I guess I'll share just a few more. Or they're basically along the same line. So most people say they're gonna give grace, but boundaries, and then I have a few people that were like, quick, y'all know what y'all are doing.
Yeah. So I have a mix of answers with that. So first one's from Free Falling Jizzle. This man is crazy. He said, depending on that person's tolerance, chance after chance, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
Simone, but SMB 11, she said, it basically depended on the situation. Like if it's like you didn't pay me back, I mean, we can figure it out, get you on a payment plan. But if it harms my child, if you harm my child, then no, like it's a no-go. Which, hey, I mean, that makes sense. We love our kids, protect the kids. My man's Travis at Longway _ he said, make it work, talk, not yell, listen, make the changes. I think you can apply that to both a relationship and a friendship.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Hopefully you and your friends not yelling at each other. If so, y'all might just need to get some boxing gloves.
My best friend Neat, we had some ties, but we growth. Thank God for growth.
When do crazy. Shanae at Shanae. It said depends on severity of the issue and if it's worth the makeup. Dep, understand that. My man Sean, you're at Young and Chase. Everyone deserves one chance at redemption, but after that one, you have your own rope. All right. And then the last one here is from my friend Ruby at Garcia ER _. She says she chooses to make it work. She only has 5 friends and we basically family now. Which, I mean, hey, you make the decisions that you want to make, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so we thought these answers were interesting, and we kind of thought through, like, how we really feel about, keeping friends and relationships around versus removing people from your life. And we felt like last time when we recorded this, it didn't necessarily reflect what we were truly feeling.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, one thing we try to do here, and really not trying to be pretentious or anything, is whatever message we have, we're trying to be constructive with what we talk about. Constructive one, and honest too. So we're not going to be talking about things that we haven't experienced or that we don't know anything about. But then 2, if we try to give you advice or like how we handle things or how things maybe should be handled in an ideal way, at least for us, try to give the message in a way so that it's received in that manner, not just going on like a rant, a tangent, or just getting some stuff off your chest or whatever.
And not to say we won't ever have episodes like that. I mean, podcast, we will evolve, and sometimes we'll probably just talk. But right now, we are being intentional about being honest and truly saying something constructive that has worked for us. And last time, too many feelings were involved, so it didn't work out that way. Yeah. But to get into the topic, I'll say this is something I definitely struggle with. You know this. And by the way, catch him drinking tea. This man never drinks tea.
So it's been a while since I had tea. I love green tea, but I'm trying to go into this with a Zen-like piece. But
he tried to drink my water. He always tries to drink my water.
She takes supplements for women, and she can't. I don't know if she put it in there or not. And I'm not trying to start growing tender part. You hear me? I didn't want to drink in there for water, so I try to get some tea, and it's just hot.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. So for me, I've really struggled with this because, and honestly, as I'm getting older, I found that really I think it's been more of a me thing. I mean, of course, people give me reasons to feel the way I feel. My feelings are valid. But I've noticed that maybe the biggest part of why I've struggled with this is because of me and the things that go on in my mind and the traumas that I have that make me need certain things from friends, right? So we're going to do an episode where I go more into depth, and you guys probably know this if you know me, or I might have mentioned it, but I have grown up maybe different than the norm, right? Because I have a dad who has multiple sclerosis. And if you don't know what that means or what that is, for my dad, it has completely impacted his mobility. So I've seen him go from from limping, cane, walker to wheelchair. And you can imagine as a kid, that does a lot to you. And so what I found is that I need understanding and I need support, right? And I need them in very specific ways. So, personally, I feel like I have not always gotten that from my friends. And my friends are great. I'm very blessed because I have core friends that I know will be with me throughout my life. But I can't lie and say that I've never been like, I'm sick of this. Like, I feel like maybe I need to let go of the relationship. And so I'll give some examples, right? So I just had this amazing conversation with my best friend, one of my best friends. And basically I was telling her that, I feel that I'm tired of being the strong friend. Like, I feel like I'm always helping her or my other best friend. And when I say something, it's not heard or talked about as much, or people aren't checking in on me. And it's tiring, right? Like, I'm tired of going through things on my own and feeling like people aren't checking in. Another example to go with this before I get into more of our conversation is, my mom has had cancer, right? And when my mom had cancer, this was a few years ago, I felt like nobody checked in. And I mean, yes, I got text messages sometimes, but like nobody checked in. I felt like it was me and my mom against the world. And I'm like, why are people not, like, nobody came over?
Yeah. And your mom is close with some of these people.
Yeah,
So
nobody
like
called
people.
my mom directly to say what's going on. And these are things that build up resentment for me, right? Because I'm like, I know you guys are used to me being strong, but I don't feel like I want to say it. Like, I feel like I want people to come to me and be there for me like I am for them. So basically, I was talking to my friend about this because I'm like, I'm tired. And sometimes, again, I'm like, do I let go of these relationships? Do people care? And what she was saying was, first of all, when people are used to being you being the strong person, they don't realize that they need to even reach out or that you need that support. I know that a lot of friends probably think about me and what's going on with my dad, but they might not say anything because I look like I'm fine. And so I realized that there's a part of me that makes myself alone in these situations, and it's not all on my friends. So that's where the grace comes in, because you always need to look at a situation and see, well, what role do I play? So I'm not saying that you never drop your friends. I definitely in the past, because me and dealing with the things I've gone through, I remember in high school, I was going through a lot mentally, and I, again, didn't feel understood, didn't feel supported. And I completely, my senior year of high school, removed myself and disconnected myself from my entire group of friends. Honestly, it was more to do with me, right? It really wasn't them, it was me. So that's something that I've had to work on with myself. But yeah, just bringing it back to grace, because again, you just have to really evaluate situations and figure out, is it them or is it me? And what can I change to make the situation better? So what I found is, yes, in the past, I've been quick to drop somebody. But I found through self-exploration and through talking to my best friends, because I'm grateful that I have friends that I can say how I'm feeling to, through talking to them, that they do care and they want to work with me to give me what I need. And that's really what you want. When somebody shows you that they will work with you and understand what you need and are willing to go out of their way to give that to you, that's true friendship, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, definitely it's, and, we're also applying this to like relationships too, but definitely friendship, just like to keep it like on track. If you're in any type of relationship with somebody, you should be able to communicate how you feel about a thing, how something they did bothered you, and in return they should be able to come to you and say something. So like, it's so funny when I hear her talking with some of her friends, when something happens, like, hey, listen, I was like, damn, dog, like I said, I can only imagine if I told one of my friends, hey, like, this is what you did that blew me, like how like what would end up happening. Funny enough, I have a story about how that about that, and spoiler alert, did not go well. But it's just amazing, and it's good. You should be able to communicate with people like that. Yeah. And also, as she said, look at both sides of it. Like, that's one thing that I say, frequently, periodically, whatever. What could I have done differently in situation A, B, C, or D? In no situation with anybody, think of anyone you've ever argued with, at least in most of them, in no situation can you say that there is nothing that you could not have fixed or done differently. For the most part, you'll find that, hey, I could have said this differently. I could have said this sooner. I could have said this better. I could have, when I found out like an opportune time, anything like that, you know what I'm saying? But again, there are some opportunities or situations where, hey, there's really nothing I could have done. This is a lighter example, but for our wedding, I was very detailed about what people needed to wear, the guys needed to wear. There was nothing else that I could have done. And listen, they're supposed to wear white shirts.
People came with red.
Guys, why did we pull up to the room? Say, hey, you want to see my outfit real quick? And he pulled out the shirt. I'm like,
that was wild.
Like, he's fucking with me, right? There's no way. He had a red shirt and actually.
Keep in mind, people, our colors were, it was like a pinkish
for the girls,
and then we had navy for the men. So red falls nowhere in line with what we were doing.
So actually, we went to the room, and actually he had a white. It was my brother. He had a white shirt, and so my man was like, who was with us, he's like, wait, so the shirts weren't red? And I was like, no, like just laughing, thinking he's just playing around. No, he's being serious. I was like, all right, so that's one shirt. Go down, and we go to tell the jokes. The other guy, my other man who was in the wedding, like, hey, yo, he had this color shirt, and he's like, wait, so he wasn't supposed to have that color? And I was like, no. I was like, what is y'all doing?
So multiple people brought red shirts. So to me, that seems like Omar didn't tell them the right thing. But hey,
that didn't look.
We're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that as is.
I guess I could have had a FaceTime call, but we had texts and everything. And again, with the color scheme, so I asked. I was like, y'all thought I was gonna have y'all walking around here looking like Spider-Man? They was like, hey, is your wedding?
Some people might have red, so watch it.
Red and blue with a pink dress. I mean,
you
okay, all right. I'm
know.
sorry. If that's your color scheme, I'm happy for you, and I love that for you. That's just not what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
So. Things happen,
But I will say, even though I believe in grace, there is the other side of me. And I was falling way too much into the other side of me during our last podcast when we tried to record this. But there's still the part of me that I'm working on healing where I'm like, no, like, you get dropped, because that's where people have to find the balance. There are situations where you really do have to figure out, what's best for you. And sometimes that means letting go of somebody, even if they've been your friend for a long time, and that's the hardest, right? Like when you've had friendships for a long time and you realize, wait, the season is over. And it is very true that not everybody can go with you into every season, so I feel like you always have to be evaluating your relationships, yourself. What are these people pouring into my life? Does it still add value? And, sometimes at the end of the day, when, people are taking too much from you and they aren't willing to do their part and give to you as well and feed you and your soul, it might be time to let them go. Yeah. So,
and again, it all depends on like the situation that you're in, and it's funny, I actually had a conversation with one of my friends back in 2017, into 2017, some point in 2018. And, we were discussing the concept of, forgiving and forgetting, meaning if somebody does something to you, and you say that you forgive them or whatever, what do you do next? Do you, I guess in my examples, someone does something to me. Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. It's okay. I forgive you. I won't do the same things that I did beforehand. So if you steal from
learn from it. Basically.
Yeah, I learned from it. So this is just an example. No one has stolen from me, to my knowledge. If they did, I never found out. But if somebody steals from me and I forgive them for stealing from me and, we stay friends, I'm not going to leave like money or something like that lying around them. And that doesn't mean I don't forgive them. It's just moving smart. You get what I'm trying to say? My man's, he was more of the idea side of, if you say you forgive somebody, that's it. You forgive them. We're not talking about this again. Don't try to, like, as I said, like move drifting or whatever. Just do what you were doing before. Now, I could have misinterpreted how he said that. But with the story that I told, again, spoiler alert, I don't think I misinterpreted anything, but I could have misinterpreted. He could have meant it as, don't try to hold that over somebody's head, which I do absolutely agree with. Again, if you say you forgive somebody, don't hold that thing over their head.
But it's easier said than done, right? Because sometimes we say we forgive, like myself, I'm speaking from experience. I hold a lot of resentment towards a lot of people, even Omar, like my best friends. I was telling when we were talking on the phone, I'm like, I've been friends with, two of my best friends for 10 years. Yeah. So I have resentment from things in the past. Yeah. And it's hard because I love them and I try to forgive sometimes, but when you have resentment and things are building up, you never actually let it go. And it's a hard thing to do. As much as I want to forgive things and I want to let it go, my mind is like, girl, but that's a part of growing and evolving. And that just shows me what I still have to work on, because it's true. If you're saying you forgive somebody, then the fair thing to do is to let it go and to not hold the resentment. And at the end of the day, the resentment's affecting me, not somebody else. It's affecting me and bringing my energy down. So,
yeah, I guess, again, for me, it's just like it's again, it's like you said, it's easier said than done, but in my mind, if you, and I'll go ahead and get into my story, my example, but if you do get into an argument with somebody you're in a relationship with, married to, dating, one of your friends or whatever, and there's an apology period, they apologize to you, you apologize to them, whatever the thing is, you would think that means there's like different actions behind what occurred. Mm-hmm. So, hey, I learned my lesson. I didn't mean to do this. I didn't understand this. I didn't get this. I didn't know you needed this, or that my actions were having this effect on you. Okay. And then we move forward for how we do things. And so if that does happen, it's probably a lot easier for people to, to get over some of the things.
Yeah, because you see the actions and you see people change. Yep.
But it's when they don't, and that when things continue to happen, when you're like, okay, how can I get over this if this is what you're doing? But again, this is where it comes to, it is our responsibility to decide how we're going to go about things and who we're going to keep in our lives, or, how we handle things.
And what you're going to tolerate.
And exactly what you're going to tolerate. Because if you tell somebody you don't like this is what you need or don't need, they're human beings. If they say, no, I'm not doing this or that, that is their right. They can say no, but now that you know that, you have to decide, so what does that mean for me? I can't have this not happen, so then what do I do?
Yeah, I think that's the important part. That's how you find the boundaries, because you can't continue to let somebody mistreat you. So it's about figuring out, evaluating your relationships, and having transparent conversations, and then seeing if the action applies, seeing if they cared enough to apply it. If they continue to do the things that you said don't work for you, or the things that hurt you, or the things that make you feel unsupported, then that's another conversation, right? Like, how long do you let somebody do that? Or do you continue to bring them into your next season of winning, when they haven't been there for you when you weren't in the winning season?
And then in addition to being honest with them, it's also being honest with yourself. It's, how can I say, it's, if somebody may not be doing the thing that you are doing, but everybody speaks in different, even like in a relationship, we have different love languages. I think that I'm doing like some great things. I mean, y'all heard me talk about what I be doing. Y'all hear me talk about
we talked about this in therapy this week, y'all. About therapy. I'm like, do I need to drop him?
She ain't dropping shit. Anyway, I'm doing A, B, C, D. I'm like, yeah.
And I'm like, but I asked you to do E, F, G.
And then it makes me end up feeling like, well, hold up. Like, so do you not appreciate what I've done? But that's not really the thing. It's, I'm not doing the things that she has asked me to do, or that what mattered to her more. Mm-hmm. And it could be the same thing for me. So then that's when you gotta be honest with yourself. Well, hey, but also another note I'm going with it is, if somebody is doing something, at least acknowledge that thing. So yes, you may have asked them to call you once a week. They might not call you once a week, and I'm just coming out with something here, but they text you frequently, might do posts, might be DMing you. So no, they did not specifically call you, but they are doing something that you asked. And that's something else like I struggle with. Like, yeah, these people are not doing this thing, or this person didn't do that, but they have been doing that. And now note, I'm not saying to settle. I am saying just simply to be honest with yourself and what it is. There's a song by Prince, Doves Cry or whatever. And he was like, maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Not saying I'm like my mom. Mommy, I love you. But I'm saying maybe you're just, again, being too nitpicky. And again, there is self-work that you need to do for yourself. So
that's a whole nother conversation. Because I will say, yes, that's evaluating yourself, right? Am I doing too much? Because that's what I've been evaluating. But your feelings are always valid. No, so it's about finding the root to where that's coming from. Like, are there things you need to heal that are affecting the way you're feeling in your relationships? Because sometimes you're interpreting something, like we talked about this with us. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're interpreting something that somebody's doing, but they're actually not doing that thing, right? Like, if he says to me, I don't want to go to your parents' house, I'm hearing, I don't like your parents. Actually, I saw that example.
Oh, and by the way, a mother-in-law, I'm not.
No, I'm just using this. It's an example.
I just want to be specific with her.
Sometimes your friends are saying, or might be doing or saying something, and you're interpreting it in a different way than how they're actually meaning it. Right. So that's why it's like all miscommunication. So, but again, there are situations where you got to let friends go. I don't want to let that go to the wayside. I don't want to only say the grace part, because you have to do what's best for you. If you really have friendships that are holding you down, or people that are not supporting you and not feeding into you, or people that are continuing to do the same thing to you over and over again, sometimes the best thing for yourself is to let it go. And only you know that. So that's a decision you have to decide for your life. But
yeah. All right. So I guess I'll get into my story. This is not an easy thing for me to talk about, because as we've discussed, we were talking and saying, exemplifying, et cetera, things are easier said than done. And, we try to get over certain situations, certain things, whatever it is. but it's hard to do that, not only for people's actions like after the fact, but for me in this specific situation, maybe some of you, it's what happened leading up to a thing, what even happened during that thing, that situation that you're in, that just makes things like hard to grasp. I'm going to do my best to be concise and to be clear. That is not me. Yes, that is me not saying certain things I'll give examples of why I'm not saying certain things while I'm talking, but it's also to keep us on constructive and on message for what we want to talk about. But all that being said, there are still things that I need to say. I also want to say that about 90% of the things that I'm getting ready to say and discuss and talk about, messages and ideas I'm about to convey, I have said to the people that are involved with this, but well, you're about to hear how all that went. And that's one of the biggest caveats or issues with this situation. So either way, I'm going to dive into it, and I'm going to drink my
take a sip of your
lukewarm green tea now
for some peace,
for a Zen-like
and
peace.
Tranquility. Mm-hmm. All we want is peace and tranquility in our lives.
All right, because I know I usually say one take, that's all I'm doing. We ain't doing a second take. Whatever is said here is just going to be said. And
no, this is the second take.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We're not doing the third take.
We ain't doing the third take. Third take. All right. So, all right. So as you all know, we're married, right? Mrs. and Mrs. Turner, Mr. and Mrs. Turner.
My nails.
Yeah, she got her ring on. I found my ring. I thought I threw my ring away.
I found your ring.
She found the ring or whatever. She didn't change her last name, but we will talk about that.
But I am going to.
That's what she's been talking about for a year. Anyway, so we got married. We had a destination wedding. Not everyone was able to attend that wedding, and this is what that story centers around. This includes 3 of my closest friends. In this core friend group, there's about, and excuse me if I'm like stuttering and stuff like that. It's while I'm like calm and talking about it, it's frustrating. And just for some of you know, trauma does not have to be some serious thing that happened to you, but if it affects you and it bothers you and whatever, that is trauma. And this was a traumatic thing for me. You know what I'm saying? I've only ever been through a couple things in my life, and this is one of them. And I can count on one hand how many things I've been through. And we'll probably talk about the other 2 in other episodes, but this is one of those things. My core friend group, again, the population is like 5. I don't count because I'm here talking to you guys. The other member does not count because, to my knowledge, he has nothing to do with any of this. So, okay. The story is really centered around the other 3. I came up with nicknames for them just so I won't put any personal information out and people track them down and hacking and be like, hey, I know your middle name, whatever, you know, just to protect stuff. So here are the names I came up with them. When they hear this, if they even watch these, but I'm going to end up talking about that too. They'll know whose name is for who, and then hopefully they remember why. And again, all love and funny stuff with these names. So the first one is Jem, Gem. Yeah.
Jem is his best friend.
And Jem is my best friend. The next one is Shaquel. And we all know where that story came from for those who are involved with it. Again, all love, just needed to give you a nickname. Next, we have Blaze. And then the 4th guy, he's not really in this core group. We are friends with him or whatever, but he does come up in the story, and I'm just going to call him his nickname, which you already know, Chino. Nobody know who that is, you know, so we're good. So my 3 core friends, my closest friends, we got Jem, Shaquel, and Blaze. All right. The 3 of them were not able to attend my wedding. Shaquel and Blaze, you know, they're dating. They've been together for probably almost as long as we have, maybe 9 years, something like that. But they weren't able to attend the wedding. They cited, you know, finances and COVID, which, I mean, of course, COVID was a crazy time. I mean, nobody knew what was happening.
Yeah, a lot of people, honestly, there were people I expected that would no doubt be there, and they couldn't come. And I understood that. I mean, of course, I felt some type of way, but
yeah, I mean, because as you would, like, if your friends aren't going to something,
it's just disappointing.
You know, like, it sucks, but you know, obviously, I mean, this is with anybody that we felt this with. So, and then,
but when you have a destination wedding, you have to understand that not everybody can come. So that's
exactly, that's the next step too. If you have a destination wedding, not everybody will be able to make it. That is kind of the choice that you make as you prepare for this. Yeah. And again, we can talk about finances and budgeting and priorities. I mean, yeah, all those things do have a realm, but at the end of the day, we're not counting anybody's pockets. If you say you cannot do something because of bread, we know what it's like. We're not going to be on you about it. Yeah. Which that kind of also adds into this frustration, trying to make sure people feel like okay about it. That kind of adds to my frustration about this, but I'll exemplify that throughout the story. My 3rd friend, Jem, she cited finances too, but best friend, I'm going to be honest here because this is kind of interwebbed through this entire situation. That's not exactly why she didn't go. Now, to be clear and transparent, ultimately that's what happened. But Blaze and Shaquille pulled out in like June, something like that. Jem did not pull out until like October, November-ish, because she was still going to be able to go to the wedding, but this thing ended up not falling through. And I'm going to specify that why that ended up becoming a problem later again. And I'm gonna try to stop saying the word exemplify so much. I'm gonna try and find a new word. But either way, so again, these guys could not attend the wedding. Now, if your closest friends, and again, guys, if I haven't said it enough, these are my core friend group. These are the guys who I pour the most into, spend the most time with. I mean, if I ever had to try to run for president, I'm gonna have to pay them off or take them off the board because they know everything. That's who this is. That's what happened. That's who this is. You know what I'm saying? So these aren't random people who you might see once every 4 months, dap up, talk to them, whatever it is, never talk again on occasion like their picture. These are my core friend group. So you would think, and I was okay with them not going because I, again, understood, but you would think that if, your core friend group could not be there for you in person or, whatever it is, they would at least be there in spirit, right? Wrong. That did not happen. The two of these guys, Shaquille and Blaze, of course, always I said they couldn't go make it to the wedding, but they didn't even congratulate me on getting married. And I remember, racking my brain about that entire weekend, imagining like, what could have happened for them not to do that? Now, things have been off in this group for the past few months. And again, remember that for a couple of minutes from now. But I was like, nah, there's no way they would do that. Like they said happy birthday, at least there's no way they're not gonna say congratulations on getting married because they were also supposed to be in the wedding. So I'm going racking my brain the entire weekend. Like, what the hell is going on? Like there's just no way. Right. So again, that Friday go past, no have a safe flight or anything like that or whatever.
No good luck.
No good luck, not like that. Saturday, supposed to get a FaceTime call from Blaze and Chino. That never happened, but whatever. Hey, people have lives. I mean, I guess it's not that important, I guess. Sunday, nothing that day. Monday, nothing either. And I'm like, that day, I'm like, well, maybe they're still trying to give us time to recoup and relax. It was a big day. And this is my blower with giving people grace because I kind of see it as it goes from being grace at a point to making excuses for people.
Well, that's why it's grace to a certain point.
No, yeah, but that's why, and I'm trying to find the balance with it, but
yeah,
I mean.
The balance is hard.
Yeah, so trying to figure that out. So Tuesday, we're on the honeymoon now, and it's still like bothering me. I was like, okay, no, something has to be wrong here. I don't know if any of y'all have like Sprint/T-Mobile, but let me know if like it was like the end of 2020.
I got AT&T, so I've been good.
It was like the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. Like people would say that they were texting you, or they wouldn't and you're like, oh, I never got your message or something like that. Same thing with calls, So that was happening to me too. So I was like, well, what if they did congratulate me? And I'm sitting here about to say some things, and like how to go about it. Like I'm still racking my brain, but I told Scott like I should have been a Jedi. I was like, search your feelings. You know what's true. Like I know there must be an issue. They wouldn't do something like this. And again, like I said, the past few months, leading up to this, things have been kind of awkward. So, all right, it's time to send the text out. If I look stupid, I just look stupid. But hey, I also did not want to be in a situation that, Jem ended up in with them, which again, that plays a very big part in this story. So I was like, let me go ahead and text them because I do like to be open and honest about most of my feelings. Not the tiny annoying ones, but the ones that matter and are making me feel like this, I try to be honest about. I shot them a text and I was like, hey, what's going on, guys? Just want to reach out to you. We got married and everything, didn't hear from you guys and things have been off for the past few months. Sidebar, I would not be comfortable saying something to somebody if I did not have the evidence to back it up. You know what I mean? If they would have said, what do you mean? I would have been able to provide the example. So just a sidebar, but continuing. Things have been off the past few months. We've been there to support each other through some crazy things. Again, remember that for later. So I just want to see what's up. And then I even included the caveat about the messages thing, like potentially not coming through. Again, trying to give them that out, like praying and hoping like that's what it was, right? My man's Blaze responds saying, he forgot we were getting married. Take that and do what you want with it. Hey, I guess people forget things. I mean, people, whatever. I couldn't even, again, the bachelor party was the week before this. We got legally married the day after the bachelor party. Me and him was talking that day. He didn't congratulate me that day either, but and y'all can let me know if this is wrong. It was our legal wedding. It wasn't a big celebration, so it wasn't that big of a deal for us, even though we were told it.
I mean,
it
was.
It was, but not like. If I didn't hear from you that day, I wouldn't have been upset. You know what I mean? It was
everybody didn't even know we were doing that. But
exactly. So it wasn't a big thing. So whatever. But again, bachelor party, the legal wedding thing or whatever. Again, he was supposed to be in the wedding, but all right, whatever. But I couldn't even dignify that with a response. Maybe dignify, that's the wrong word, but I couldn't even really respond to that because of what Shaquille. And I try not to laugh because it's just, again, I know where the story came from. And again, I'm not even trying to, that's the nickname I had to give you. It's just funny, but I couldn't even respond. Bless you, Snookums.
Excuse me.
I couldn't even respond to what Blaze said because of what Shaquille said next. And again, even now as I'm telling this, like my blood is like kind of like boiling right now. Cause like, I just can't, again, as I get through the story, you'll see why, but you gotta be kidding me. So she says she didn't forget that we were getting married. I don't think she said the word purposefully. I may just be adding that. But she purposefully didn't congratulate us because Jem had told them that I had been talking shit about them. That Jem had told me multiple times to go talk to them about how I was feeling. And this is from me texting Shaquille and Blaze now, saying that if I had such an issue with things they were doing or whatever it was, whatever, I should have told them about it. Now, on paper, I think any of us would be upset with somebody for these reasons. Somebody.
Oh yeah, if you hear somebody's talking about you
or whatever, and not coming to you and telling everybody else, I think we all would be upset with that. So as I'm explaining these things, it is not me dismissing how she felt about it, because I can even see why some of those things might have even come off that way, or to support why she felt that way, which is again the other side of looking at yourself and what you did into a situation.
Yeah.
But my big issue with that is that's not what happened. None of that is what happened. First things first, just to be clear, blunt, and again, I said this stuff to them, but I'm going to say it again because, again, when you talk with somebody, you would think there'd be certain actions that happened after. They didn't. Not sure why. Well, kind of sure why, but we're going to keep going and talking about it. First things first, I was not talking shit about them. The piece that Jem said that I should go talk to them multiple times, again, that did not happen. We had count them. How many strands do I have on the top of my head?
One. 0, really. Just kidding. You got some hair on the side.
I didn't get a haircut for this episode. We had one conversation about that, and I initiated that conversation. Again, this is my best friend, so of course I'm gonna.
And you go to you should always be able to go to your friends in confidence. It's not always talking shit. Sometimes you just.
And the thing is, that's the thing though. It wasn't even in confidence. I was just checking in with her, and I'll again explain more. But I was just checking in, like, hey, what do you think about the situation? So I hit her up, and I was like, hey, so I'm thinking of hitting up, Shaquille and Blaze, because things have been kind of off the past few months with some of the things they have been doing and some of the things that she had told me that they had said about a couple of situations. So I'm thinking about hitting them up because, again, I don't want to be in the same situation that what I said to her was, I don't want to end up in a situation with them. But as I already said to y'all, a situation she found themselves in with her where communication was a big issue or really with us. But again, later on. So I asked her, I was like, so what do you think about that? She was like, I mean, you can, but I was like, I'm overthinking it. She chuckled and said yes. And that's something that people, in this group or whatever, have said and made me feel, I'm not going to necessarily say invalidating how I feel about things, but made me feel like I'm making things a bigger deal than it needs to be. And some of you can even think I'm making this a bigger deal than what it is. It's not serious. They didn't congratulate you. Move on. Some of y'all might be able to deal with it, but I don't necessarily operate that way, especially with what I give to my various relationships. But, that's what she had said. So I was like, all right, this is probably her trying to be real with me. And then thinking about it, while some things have happened, they weren't that serious, and they've done the opposite. Like, things that were just great. I was like, man, these are my friends, boy. I'm so happy I'm with these mugs. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't enough necessarily to say something. So what I said was like, all right, fine. I guess I'll wait for something, more serious to happen before I try to have that, the conversation that I'm actually having with them now. Not right now, but now for the story, for the wedding. And so I had also asked her, I said, so, to your knowledge, I asked her this specifically, again, because of the past event and situation that happened and some of the suspicions I'm starting to develop at this time. I asked her, I was like, but so to your knowledge, there's nothing going on. Like, there's no problem. There's nothing to talk about. No. To my knowledge, like, there's nothing. I think she told me one thing they had said, or Shaquille had said, which was a bit of a blower, but I just said I'll wait till something serious happens. So I wasn't going to bring that up. You know what I'm saying? But yes, like as I said, it's gonna wait till something more serious happened, and she said there's nothing to worry about. Implied that I was, well, not implied, said I was overthinking. To be fair, she left it to me to if I wanted to say something or not. But again, I went to her for her advice to see. So that was that. Again, that was one conversation. We never discussed me going to talk to them necessarily about anything or how I was feeling about things again. That was it. So I mean, I don't know. And then again, the third reason that, you know, if I had a problem, I should have told them. It again, just this is when I get frustrated because it's like, and I even say this to her sometimes. Do what I be saying to you, like going one ear out the other, because they must have done 6 to 8 things from March of 2020 to March of 2021 that irritated me. And I said something every step of the way. So now I'm thinking y'all either just ignore me when I talk or think it's not a big deal and or like dismiss my feelings because, again, I know what I said. I'm not going to go into full detail on what those 6 to 8 things was, but just to give like what they were, so to speak, so that people don't think I'm making something up. And them, again, if they watch and listen to this, they can be like, oh, yeah, hey, you did talk to us about that. You know, again, so whatever. Blaze and Shaquelle's birthday. They both planned them at the last minute after I had been asking what was going on. I said to Blaze, hey, I had been asking you and I didn't know we were doing anything. Sky took a medicine that and you don't want to be on that shit when you're at people's houses, pun intended. So it's just going to be me going. Sorry, not to be TMI, but it's just going to be me going. So that was, I said something to him about that. Me and Jim talked about that. Again, Shaquelle, same thing. I asked her, we were supposed to go to a restaurant. She changed it to Ocean City. She talked to Sky about it, or rather Sky wanted to let her know and inform her that we were not going because Sky feels like at the time that I, you know, don't really let her say like too much then when it comes to the plans and things like that. So I said, no, sure, go ahead. We're all supposed to be cool and be friends, right? So I thought, so it shouldn't be a problem. So they talked about it, right? And Shaquelle said herself that, I mean, she gets it was last minute. She just wants to be at the beach. It wasn't that big of a deal. Me and Jem talked about that. I'm not going to go into the full details of that conversation because, again, some of the things, elements that are present and that, you know, Jem does as it relates to certain things, she did in that conversation. And I just feel like if I say it now, it's just going to be like, no, that's not what happened. So I'm not going to go into that full details, but we had the conversation about that trip. Again, Jem kept saying that Blaze might not be going to some of all of it. Chino was saying he's not really being responsive. I hit up my brother, say, hey, look up this number. Is it in these group messages? Conversation was longer than that, but trying to be mindful of our time here. He's like, nah, that number's not in any of these messages. Now, he could have been smacked and not paying attention. But again, it is now time to have the conversation. I hit him up, call him actually, because I'm not doing texting. I call him. I was like, hey, is everything good for the bachelor party? Like, you know, everything that's going on? I said it like that just to see what he says. Yeah, he tells me to plan. He didn't mean to, but he doesn't know. I already knew because, you know, Gino told me. But I know that he knows the full plan. So I was like, okay, what is going on here? Again, suspicions are starting to develop. But I leave it alone. No, I did not tell him that people were saying this and that because I don't do the he said, she said so much. I will use it as evidence or as I try to find the evidence or if I need to be cautious of something. But I would not cut him off because somebody said he wasn't going to do something, right? But that's just me. And then the last thing being them not congratulating us on getting married. So, I mean, I just listed all the things that I said about them to Jem and even clearly to them. I don't know what you mean when you say if I have a problem, I should have come to you. I mean, that's just what happened. And it was just the reason it's just hard for me to get over it because even after the fact, you know, try to have a conversation with Blaze. He basically told me to build a bridge and get over it. I'm not going to get the full details of that conversation, but he contradicted himself some more. And I was just like, all right, he specifically said, we're not going to talk about this anymore or we're not going to talk about this again because you forgot to say something the last time. We already apologized. If that's not good enough for you, I don't know what else to tell you. And I just get triggered here and there when certain things happen.
So, you know, situations like this, we all have, I'm sure, traumatic situations with certain friends or, you know, things that happen in friendships where it's hurtful and you have to figure out, you know, are you going to talk to them about it? Are you going to just let it go? Are you going to move forward with them? Yeah. So, you know, with all of that being said, you know, the question is, what do you do, right? Like it happened. Now what?
All right. And that's the title of the episode. It happened. So now what? So you've been through, like me in that example, that whole thing happened, but I do give Blaze a little bit of credit. He had a slight of a point. You know, if that's not good enough for you, I don't know what else to tell you. Some people might have you that. Now. Yeah, it is now on you. So yes, I saw this tweet and it said, your trauma may not have been your fault, but healing is undoubtedly your responsibility.
100%.
You've been through something, and yeah, it was tough, it was shitty, and it still frustrates you to this day. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But all right, it happened. So now what are you going to do? How are you going to navigate it? How are you going to go about it? Are you going to keep talking about that thing, or what is the path forward now? And I mean, that's the next segment we're going to go into, some tips on how you can handle some of these situations.
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, I think the number one thing, and we've said it earlier, is self-evaluation. So even in his situation, taking out the part of, you know, how his friends might have made him feel, or, you know, how disappointed he was, evaluating self, like what in this situation, what could I have done better in this situation? Are there things that I did to contribute, you know? So that helps you put into perspective. So that's number 2, right? When you're trying to evaluate your friendships, put it into perspective. What's actually going on? Is what you're thinking actually happening? Exactly. You know, I mean, in your case it was, but I'm just saying, you know, sometimes
it was funny. I was like, I'm a little worried. I told her, I'm a little worried. This is what's kind of happening here. Like, ain't no way that's what's going on. I was like, and then
he thinks he overthinks. So then sometimes he has a point, because all feelings are valid, but he'll be like, wait, is that true? Like, is that really what's happening? And that's kind of what happened for him when trying to deal with this whole situation.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just, I lost where I was going.
Sorry.
No, I was going to piggyback off of really what you said. Like, it was, you know, like overthinking. And I was like, she's like, no, there's no way this happened. I was like, yeah, fine. And kind of like I said to Jen when we talked, I was like, back during the story. And I was like, I guess I wait something more serious to happen or whatever. Like, I would tell you, like, he doesn't come to the bachelor party, or, you know, they don't congratulate, I'm gonna get married. In my head, I'm like, there's no way that's gonna happen.
Right.
So ain't nothing gonna happen, not wrong. But again, I wouldn't just spent the past 30 something minutes talking if that didn't happen.
Exactly. And a lot of times we do that. A lot of times we're like, okay, we'll just see what happens next. And that's fine, but it's your boundaries, right? You create them for yourself in your relationship. So it's about how much are you willing to endure or let happen, which leads to the last point, right? The last point we had was also spreading your wings, right? Like diversifying. So you have friendships and you can put them into different buckets, right? So I have certain friends that I do one thing with, certain friends that I do another. So that's another thing that you can do. Even if you're struggling in certain friendships, if you want them in your life still, you can still have them in a certain place in your life, and then have other friends that come into other places in your life.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like 100%. And these are the tips that we do, at least, you know, that
I mean, we've been working on it. Yeah.
In the situation with the story I just told, what could I have done differently? I could have spoken up sooner and trusted my intuition. Right. And that's not me trying to say anything.
I agree with that.
I could have done that. You know what I'm saying? What else could I have done? Even some of the things, like when I explained the things that I talked to them about or whatever, I did not say that to them during the text, because again, I'm just irritated that these dots are not being connected. And why do I need to remind you of that? There are things that you should be mindful of, but whatever, you know, so I could have done that in the conversation with them. I could have talked to them all at once, but again, that thing happened. So now what do you want them to do? I love these guys. I know how I told that story, and some things that I'm still not even saying. And, you know, again, Jamie got secrets and stuff. So there's things that I'm still not saying and protecting because I care about that relationship. So, you know, would it still further help this came along? I love them all, and I care about my relationship with them all. So am I keeping them in my life, or am I cutting them off? Not cutting them off at this point. If I have a baby, y'all don't congratulate me. It's clipped. I'm just letting y'all know right now. But
he's spoken.
That's what's going to happen. But I love them and I want them in my life. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to navigate this, which is why when I went to have that conversation with Blaze the second time, was try to figure out how to navigate it. He let me know how he was feeling, how he was coming with that situation. So, okay. And I also didn't mention this, but I also talked to Jim, even though they told me not to be upset. I spoke with her anyway, and she apologized for not telling them things how I said it or whatever. So, I mean, that kind of gave me some of the validation I need. At least I know I'm not crazy. At least I know I was not like actually talking shit here. So, but again, that path forward, I got the other apologies that I needed. How do I move forward with that? Again, I want to keep them in my life, but obviously and clearly there are things that I cannot expect anymore. And one thing we talked about in one episode is not being let down.
Yeah.
So now I have them in a certain part of my life. Whenever I go home, hey, you know, what's good? Woo, woo. If I have things going on in life here and I feel like sharing it with them, I will. But I now have different friend groups that I invest my time in. And it's a good thing to do, because even for the wedding, I had done this, started doing this a while ago. Had I not done this for the wedding, it would have had no one. I'd had no one standing behind me.
And
if
that's
I hadn't
hurtful.
Yeah, and it's hurtful and it's tough. And that's the other main thing here too is people's feelings are hurt. My feelings were hurt with this. This isn't me being spiteful. This isn't me being petty. This isn't me just trying to say something to say something. If y'all ever watch our vetting video, if we ever post it, you'll see two distinct points where you can tell how I'm truly feeling inside. And it was from not even hearing from the people who I care about the most in my life. But again, it happened. So now what? How are you going to handle the problems? You know, if you do say you're going to forgive somebody, it's okay to move differently or whatever. It's okay to not forgive somebody and to not be friends with them anymore. It all comes down to what you want to do in your life and what you want out of your life in the relationship
And what
that you
brings you
enter.
peace. It's
And
peace.
your peace,
It's
yeah.
the peace for me.
Yeah.
It's the peace for me.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's that.
Well, I hope that helped you feel better sharing that story.
I'd say it was probably about, I'm at a good 80%. Y'all figure out it's going to be another 20.
The other 20 is the self-work he's got to do.
Oh, well, no, none of that.
What?
I'm perfect, sweetheart. The other 20% about feeling better about this situation
I'm done.
is once they do end up hearing this and the reactions after that and to know if they'll still be in my life or not.
Oh, okay. That
And
makes
then
sense.
I'm figure out if they are, all right, cool, I can be honest and things are okay. Or clearly I can't say what I want and here's going to be the
I
consequence
mean,
of it.
yeah, that's a part
we'll
of figuring out your upcoming boundaries and moving forward with what you're going to do with the relationships.
So
All
that's
right.
that. All right, guys.
Hope you enjoyed the long story,
Yeah, sorry about that. I know I'd be rapping, but the biggest thing
but
is,
I understand.
Yeah, there are things I needed to say, and even with what the story I just told, there were a lot of things that I still did not say. And again, it would have gone to kind of further my point around, but then it's like it'd have been too hurtful on a gem or whatever. And again, that's my best friend, so I don't want to be saying these other things because it's completely unnecessary. That's one thing we've talked about. Like I care so much. I'm not gonna say too much, but in some cases too much. But I care so much about some people that I was like, I can deal with this. I'll just say this, but I won't say this because this will be enough. You know what I mean? And I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I don't even know what point I was going to with that, so I might even end up cutting this part out. If not, left it in. Oh well.
But yeah, so that is episode 5. Again, that was a tough one. We had to do it twice because it was a traumatic situation for him.
Yeah.
So we will catch you guys in episode 6.
Yeah.
Again, OVO. What's your Instagram?
Yeah, how you not know my Instagram?
OVOXOMAR.
At
OVO.
No, you're done. At OVOXOMAR.
That's literally what I said.
No, it's not.
At Skylar Simone and then at Snook and Snookums. All right. See you
Talk
next
to y'all.
time.
Thanks, guys.